guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing Swords. Ow. Can I start again?
No.
Alright guys, this is Crossing Swords. I'm Andrew. Bam.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's another bad intro.
That's not the first time I've ever done that though.
What messed up the intro?
Yeah, or it's definitely been a while.
I wasn't aimed at you, to be honest. I was just doing like
damn it, and I asked if I could start again and that's
intro. No, that's beautiful. That's the joy of this. We're not a polished, smooth production. We want all the bumps and cracks showing.
Yeah, and also it's made me smile because I just like, I don't know, today everything I feel like I've been ingesting in terms of content's been quite negative. And
yeah, I feel like I've been struggling to get away from the negative content lately.
So like, I've got to admit, I was feeling a bit heavy coming into the recording, but no, it's added a bit of levity.
Who knew there was such beauty in fuck-ups?
There's beauty in everything, bro. Just got to know where to look.
I feel like you're a man who does know where to look.
Yeah, normally in the mirror. Or at photos of you.
Like a very worst case scenario, a bad reflection in a puddle and you're good.
Yeah. But is there such a thing as a bad reflection when it comes to us?
There's bad reflective surfaces.
Is there?
Yeah.
What don't you want to be seen through?
Oh, nothing. I'm very vain. I'll be seen through any
medium.
Through, yeah.
You're saying for me there's ones that would be less flattering.
No, I don't think they're less flattering. I'm just saying that a dirtied puddle, whilst you can find poetic and profound beauty in it, really your image is worth more than that. Do you know what I mean?
But as you said, like when needs must, you take what you can get. If I'm out and about in the park and my phone's dead, even then my phone could act as a mirror, but not an effective one.
You could just, to be honest, I feel like you could just stop someone passing and go, "You there, tell me how good looking I am."
Well, could you imagine if I was walking through the park and I decided to start getting on my hands and knees to see my face in the puddles?
I feel like you've been caught in more compromising positions.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I don't think it'd be the end of the pod, that's for sure.
And do you know what question you harking back to our last episode where we had a guest on? The comment of you wouldn't be shocked walking in on a room with me with multiple cocks in my mouth.
Yes.
And I asked how many cocks would it take for it to be surprising? And it never actually got answered. We ended up tandening off.
Would you like an answer?
I would. I'd love an answer.
I feel like maybe if it takes me more than 3 seconds to count the number of people in the room. I know that's not a definitive answer, but if I just come in there's like, boom, there's 5. I can see there's 5. Boom, there's 6. I think when you
how many would there need to be for you to not be able to assess the situation?
About a dozen and up.
Really?
And then I'm coming in.
I've got all of them in my mouth.
No, I'm not just saying necessarily all in your mouth, but all there to be had in your mouth.
Right.
Just strutting around naked. Or naked from the waist down.
What sort of harem of men do you think I live in?
Well, that's why it would be a shock. You're asking me if it would be a shock.
You said it wouldn't be a shock.
Or up to a certain amount.
Right, so 12 is the cap.
About 12 and up, I'd be like, whoa.
How gay does that make me, Jake?
About 11.
Really?
About 11 in terms
on the scale.
In terms of how many men you can take at once.
Are there like benchmarks for that metric? Do you know what I mean? Like how gay am I on a level of Joe Lycett?
What I've done is I've not created I've not created a gay scale. What I've created is a slut scale.
Right, okay.
Do you know what I mean? We can work out how much of a fucking whore you are.
To be honest, I think that's as equally bad nowadays to slut shame me as it would be to be homophobic. So
I'm not shaming. I'm just saying.
I think the word slut is derogatory.
I'm just saying we've defined a way.
I'm liberal with my affections would be a nice way to put it.
I just think we found a way to define how much of a slut you are.
How much of a slut are you?
I reckon a lot.
Yeah.
A big slut. I think I'm a big slut.
Yeah. Are you picky though?
Yes and no.
You have hard lines that you won't cross. A bit like the Brexit negotiations.
I think, we all can succumb to that.
Are you a fan of a hard border, a soft border, no border at all? What are we talking?
I'm all about the love, baby. I'm no border.
Wow.
Let's just live it free.
No barriers between you.
Let's just sharing.
Anyone.
Sharing is caring.
Wow. I like it. One love. It's beautiful.
That's how I live my life.
I have a question for you before we get into the meat and potatoes of why we're here today. I feel like we need a name for the fan base.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you have an idea, or was your idea that we need a name?
Well, it was that. I did have one. I could only really think of one because it's only so many play on words with crossing swords, sword crossers.
Yeah, I think sword crossers is adequate. There are sword crossers.
Like I've even thought about, could we try and be really clickbaity and tweet someone like Joe Lycett and be like, hey, you a sword crosser? with no context.
We could.
Like just me and you personally.
Because he'd say yes.
And then if he says yes,
we tweet it, we quote it.
Tweet him with Crossing Swords and be like, yeah, boy.
Yeah, we quote it. We put it on the poster.
Yeah.
Joe Lycett is a sword crosser.
Yeah. And that could be our new tagline. Are you a sword crosser?
Like Joe Lycett?
Yeah.
We're putting a lot of eggs in the Joe Lycett basket here, and the people might tune in expecting Joe Lycett, so maybe we should steer clear of it.
Well, maybe that's what we name the episode, is Joe Lycett, a sword crosser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an option. It's an option.
You seem uncomfortable.
I went between option and opportunity, and I got muddled up.
Is it because he's bisexual and you're afraid it might be seen as homophobic?
Why would it be homophobic to...
Because there's a play on words, sword crossing.
We're riding his coattails there a lot, aren't we?
Well, yeah, we are. But
massively,
considering
massively
the sort of PR he's about, which is calling people out, making big statements, I feel like it's sort of
It's a brand I'm on board with.
It's on brand.
We've said on here before, both big fans of Joe Lycett.
Yeah. Could you imagine ever having him on the pod?
Yeah.
Here at my mum's
It would be brilliant, because that's exactly where he'd want to do it.
I'd be like, Joe, can we come to where you are? We'll bring the mics. He'll be like, no. But
especially if we said we record in his mum's living room, he'll be like, excellent. I'm bringing the wine, babes.
Yeah,
I'm there.
Yeah, I think hun it would be, wouldn't it?
Hun.
Yeah, I'll be there with wine, hun.
Yeah,
I'd drink wine with Joe Lycett.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Even if it meant I had to go sick from work, do you know what I mean?
It would be an honour.
Get pissed.
I would go sick from... Oh, I shouldn't say that out loud, but I would...
Yeah, I mean, what's the likelihood they're going to... I mean, they might do if Joe Lycett's on the pod.
Joe Lycett's on, they'll listen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that would slap.
We've set a line, we're both willing to work off for Joe Lycett.
Yeah. Maybe we should just do... The clip of the episode should be this bit of the conversation, and we just tweet it at him and just cross our fingers that he...
And cross our swords. No, that's for when he's here.
Well, I'll cross swords with Joe Lycett. I think Leanne would be all right with it as well. There's nothing sexual in it.
I think Leanne would probably be jealous. She'd probably like to cross swords herself.
What, with Joe Lycett?
Yeah, I think, why not?
I don't know if I'd be comfortable with that.
Really?
Yeah. That's where I'm at, bro. I'm sorry.
So you're willing to go banding around with anyone?
Well, no, I know I'm not going to leave her for Joe Lycett.
But you think she might leave you for Joe Lycett?
Right, she can cross swords with him.
She can cross swords with him.
Yeah, why not?
We'll all cross streams.
Yeah.
It'll be like Ghostbusters.
Do you think I'm gay, bro? What's going on here?
Well, no, I don't necessarily think you're gay. Sexuality is a spectrum.
Please mansplain it to me, Jake.
Excellent. Would if I could already starting to forget what we're talking about. What was it talking about? Sexuality is a what? Oh, spectrum. Because you were asking if you were gay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sexuality is a spectrum. Basically, at one end you've got absolutely will only touch one,
type of genital.
And at the other end you've got exactly the same. And then I think someone falls somewhere in the middle. I think there's a lot of you like what you like, but you may be swayed.
Yeah.
If a Joe Lycett comes along.
Yeah.
A heterosexual dude like yourself.
In all
is
honesty,
not
my appreciation for Joe Lycett is strictly non-sexual. And I'd say that to his face.
Yeah, I wouldn't open with it.
I think he'd appreciate it.
I'd provide some context.
If I just walked up, when we first meet him, because we're going to meet him now, obviously, just I shake his hand and go, my appreciation of you is completely non-sexual.
Also, if there's one way to make him think your appreciation is sexual.
Yeah, as I was saying it, and I was imagining your Joe Lycett, I was looking deep into your eyes. It felt deeply sexual saying it to you.
Yeah, if there's one way to make him think that you're sexually attracted to him,
it's to
open by saying that you're not sexually attracted to him.
Yeah, but when I've had that attitude of women, it's not worked. Do you know what I mean? When they've told me they're not attracted to me.
Yeah. It's a hard line to define,
Yeah.
That's not as easy to define as sexuality, which I think we've covered quite adequately.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what we came here to talk about at all.
Not even closely related.
No. But I just thought it's a good way to had a bit of time at the beginning. We've got something we can clickbait if we wish.
Yeah, we've done our clickbait work.
Yeah.
We should be journalists.
Why not? We are in a way. No, we're not.
No. I don't mean good journalists.
No.
I mean shit
Well, the bar,
journalists.
to be fair, the bar isn't high nowadays, is it?
I could definitely write an article of 10 celebrities who are poorer than you think. Do you know what I mean? I could write that.
I don't know if I could do that sort of journalism. I think it would kill me inside.
I think that would be the easiest money I've ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even need to do research. Like, you don't even need to look into it. Just literally list people.
Well, surely you've got to at least actually look up some numbers. Like, what's this person
just look worth? Just list them. Who do you think? Look at and think, they probably ain't got that much money. J-Lo.
How much is she worth?
I wouldn't put a number on it, but I think she's probably about as rich as you think she is.
What does that
She's not
mean?
on the list.
So how rich do you think she is?
I think she's like comfortable. Do you know what I mean? I don't think she's like
I think
rolling in
I
it.
reckon she's got anywhere between like 40 to, I don't know, the high 10 millions. Do you know what I mean? Maybe not 100 mil. That might be pushing it a bit.
I don't know. Not necessarily in disposable cash or in bank accounts.
No, probably in
I
assets.
think most of it's in
properties,
and businesses.
Orlando Bloom,
poorer than you think.
You reckon he's on the list? Is he in the top 10?
Could be,
because he's been part of some.
You'll
massive
have to read to find out. See, I could do this.
Maybe we should have a segment of are they poorer than you think?
Yeah. Oh, that wouldn't be a bad segment. Also, again, we don't have to research it. We just turn up, say it, and if people complain, we could be like, "Bro, it's not real journalism. You know, what's your problem?"
John O'Shea, the former Sunderland and Man United. Have you seen the video being knocked around of him at the moment? I only got halfway through it, and it's I didn't even remember him doing it. Apparently, he nutmegged Luis Figo once.
Right. Okay.
For Man United versus Real Madrid, and they've done like this, like joking trailer for like a documentary about him
the nutmeg.
And they've got people like Shay Given, loads of other people from football, all sort of being like, you know, he was always, from the moment he came onto the scene, it was clear that his talent was generational, and it all culminated. Like, it was brilliantly done, and he's like being interviewed in it, and he was just like, I looked at him in the tunnel, and they show a flash of him looking to the right in the tunnel and being like, I've got you today.
Brilliant. No, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah. Is he on the list?
No.
Okay. So what are we here to talk about, Jake? I could keep going otherwise.
We're here to talk about something that is everywhere, quite frankly. And
justice.
We're asking, is it too much to be everywhere? Well, justice definitely isn't anywhere at the moment. Very much on vacation, justice.
I don't think Bill and I would like it at the moment, because love isn't all around us at the moment.
No, the Beatles are very unhappy.
Or Christmas.
Christmas is all around us.
Not yet.
No, but you work in retail, so it's not going to be long. Yeah. Feels like it's all around you.
I mean, what month are we in? May?
Yeah.
So it's going to start
couple of weeks.
Next month, yeah. That's not even a joke.
We're here to superhero films.
Yes.
They're superhero films.
And I think films in general a little bit.
But, you know, I asked you the question this week and thought it might be fun to talk about. Are we experiencing superhero burnout?
Yeah.
Because I am I'm like a nerd. I would say my vices in nerddom, the two big ones are superheroes and Star Wars. And then beyond that, there's things like, you know, I like Doctor Who and I like stuff like that. Like, yeah, I'm a nerd. Right? Yeah. Fine. So just roll with it.
That's right.
But even me, and I'm a massive superhero fan, I am not watching, and I'm certainly not in a rush to watch all of the stuff that's coming out.
No.
Because I'm kind of like, I'm done with it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering what your views were on it.
Yeah, I am as well. I mean, I've talked about before, like, one of the things that annoys me with what they're doing is they want to create this universe that spans everything from games to TV to films. And the problem is, I worry that if you don't watch something that I haven't watched, Hawkeye, for example, but I'm sure there's stuff in there that will be, you know, sort of continued into something else, and I might miss out on that because I might not watch it. And it just, I don't know, I feel like we had, what was it, like 12 years of build-up, maybe? Was it about 12 years? From, like, Iron Man to Endgame. 10 years.
Well, yeah, 2008 Iron Man.
I mean, and to be fair, at the start, like the first Iron Man film, there was no designs on where they would end up. It sort of, after it picked up, they were like, oh, what can we do with this? But
let's expand it out.
We had like 10 years of build up to that where we bought into all the characters. The storyline was good. I mean, some of the films, if you actually look through them, were a bit
ropey.
Yeah, like you could do without them. Like I was looking at some of them the other day, like for Dark World.
I knew you were going to say Dark World because it is probably one of the weakest
it's not a bad film. It's just not. It's meh. Like,
no, but it came out around the same sort of time as the second Captain America, which is Winter Soldier, which is one of the strongest MCU films, like to this day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I said to you, the thing that had going for it, and I do think I will say a little bit in a bit about why I think the burnout exists for me.
Yeah.
But I know you're saying it's too much of a universe that you feel like you've got to invest in all or nothing. But Winter Soldier was a kind of espionage thriller.
Yeah.
That had superheroes in it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a superhero movie, and that was its strength.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But like the whole thing in general, I just feel like 10 years is a long time. And I think a lot of us were a lot younger when it started. So we sort of grew with the story.
About 10 years younger.
Yeah. So I think now we're all that bit older. We're now being asked to buy into characters we've never heard of before, with actors more or less we haven't heard of before. And I think it just doesn't have the same buy-in, and I think it doesn't have the same interest. And some of the films aren't bad.
And this is a good split as well, because you are... I mean, you do like superheroes and stuff.
I love
you know
stuff.
a bit more than the average person, like 100%. But equally, then I think
I'm not to your full level.
No,
I don't go for I don't know comic book lore.
There's definitely characters and stuff coming out that I'm really excited for because I like them and love them.
Blue Beetle,
Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle as well. It's just fucking. I love that character. But yeah, exactly. That's like a great.
But I mean,
example.
In fairness, I remember when Iron Man was being released, people were like, "It's one of the least favourite Marvel comics. He's like almost a B-list character," and then it went massive. So like, I guess they see it as any one of the next characters.
I think there's less pressure on when people don't know him as well. Like you look what happened with the first Guardians. No one knew any of the characters, and so they had the freedom to come out and do what they want. Whereas you do Spider-Man or Superman,
there's sort of an assumption
Batman.
Of
Batman. How much pressure is there on a Batman film to be? Well, initially compared to the but now it's compared to the Christopher Nolan's.
Yeah, exactly.
Always
it's been nailed. Do you know what I mean? When like we got it. If it wasn't for the fact Heath Ledger died, I think they would have stuck the landing better. But they were very good films with brilliant actors, good storylines, and all of that.
Yeah.
And then you get and I watched the Robert Pattinson one, and I genuinely tried to I just didn't like the way it was shot. The whole feel of the film wasn't for me, I guess. But I didn't have an issue with Robert Pattinson as Batman. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's too much of it. It's been going on for too long, and then I know Marvel aren't responsible for DC, but like DC just is
DC
so
fumbled it
up
massively. DC, in my opinion, have some of the best casting.
Oh, absolutely.
Ever.
Like Jason Momoa as Aquaman makes for me Aquaman.
Yeah, because he's not comic book accurate at all, but he's fantastic in the role.
He's Aquaman. Do you know what I mean?
I like Ben Affleck as Batman.
He was all right.
Henry Cavill as Superman.
Oh,
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I mean, Ezra Miller, I know there's a lot of problems there with
But again, very good casting.
Excellent in the role. And apparently...
And look, Ezra Miller's a good actor.
Stephen King tweeted today to say that he saw a preview screening of The Flash, and he said he's not... Amazing. Yeah, he said he's not massive on superhero films, but thought it was really good, really heartfelt, really well-told story.
I mean, and in fairness to DC, there's been some unlucky bits in there, like Zack Snyder's family issues and having to step away from the Justice League franchise for a bit, and then coming back and sort of doing his own version that was like 8 hours long or whatever it was.
4.
Whatever.
Great 4 hours of superhero film.
It was decent, to be fair. I didn't mind it, but it's just long.
Well, it would have been split in 2. If he'd have been allowed to do it properly, he would have done it in 2 parts. I think my issue, and I was watching a little bit of James Gunn. I'm a big fan of James Gunn, by the way.
Yeah. Who's now in charge of DC going forward?
Yeah, certainly creatively, because he was asked about he's on the promotional tour for Guardians 3, and he was asked about,
which is getting rave reviews.
I really liked it. I went and saw it the other week. Really liked it, and this is part of the thing. Okay, so there is a kind of like save the world element to it, but generally it's a much more It basically, not to give too many spoilers away, but it's really a personal story for Rocket.
Okay.
And the Guardians' relationship to each other, the way they view each other as like found family.
Yeah.
And you really explore what that actually means to them in this film. And you explore Rocky, and it gets really dark at times in this film. I think you'd really enjoy parts of it.
Yeah.
But it still comes with that Guardian's humor.
I didn't even
know
it was in the cinema yet until I heard it was out. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't.
But he was talking about he was asked about superhero burnout, and what he said really clicked with me, because he said the problem that you've got, and he said, and this is something, because he was talking about his role at DC. He said, this is something I'm trying to be aware of going into DC. He says is that the stories and the films are not diverse. That is not to say the characters, by the way.
No.
The characters are are getting more diverse. We're getting more women. We're getting more women of color. We're getting more different religions. You know, Kamala Khan being portrayed by the amazing Amanda Bolani.
We've never had a film like Shang-Chi before, Black Panther, these sort of things.
Asian roles, black roles, really being brought to the fore and done in a really
representing
brilliant way. Because I really like Shang-Chi and I really like Black Panther.
Yeah.
But he said, but the stories themselves are not diverse enough that he said it's always good guys versus bad guys fighting a thing that fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
And the good guys win. You just tell the same story again and again, and you can't do that because it gets unbelievably dull and droll. And what you need to do is you need to make the stories more personal. You need to also you need to make it more morally questionable. You can't always have good versus bad, and there it is, good always wins.
Yeah.
You've got to have a bit of diversity, so that way you kind of think, well, actually, I don't know, and you go back to the Winter Soldier, the things that Cap was doing in that film was sort of wrong on a technical level.
I think James Gunn's right, because before you started talking about it, in my head, I was like, the stories aren't good enough. That was the thought that came into my head. They're not, like, if you look at Spider-Man, for example, after Andrew Garfield, people were really pissed off that they didn't give him another one, or, you know, he was very popular.
I loved him, yeah.
The idea of anyone else doing it publicly was like, oh, and I remember even when Tom Holland got announced, people were quite ambivalent towards it, but they did it felt differently. They cut out the origin story bits. He's Spider-Man and we go from there, rather than having the same opening again. So that works and people buy into it. And then also he was sort of, the way they threaded the stories into one another in the end, I felt like he was an integral part of the crossovers and bringing everyone together. So I think that's missing. But I also think if they change things, make it more, like, for example, if you take Superman, one of the best parts of Man of Steel for me was, like you say, making it a bit dark and more morally questionable. Like, Superman isn't one necessarily for killing in the comics and things like that, whereas in that film he kills someone, and that's actually something the film gets a lot of criticism
like
for
where the
from
line
the comic
is
book fans.
Yeah,
and even I think Ben Affleck's seen using a gun type item in the
film. I wasn't a fan of that.
And Batman famously will never touch guns, so like it can be done in the right way, but like I think a lot of people will be against that approach as well.
Yeah, but I just think you know, like I said, going back to the Winter Soldier, a lot of the stuff Cap does in that, and going on to Civil War, where it's like a continued thread, is technically, like, legally very questionable.
Morally, it's still
but morally, it's
right
kind of like,
side of the line.
well, is it? Because, you know, where do we fall on Bucky? Because we know Bucky, we know he's been brainwashed, but fucking assassin, and he's killed some
killed a lot of people.
So you kind of, there's a lot of moral
and that continues into Civil War as well very well.
And it works, and it just is not so two-dimensional. The other problem I think that I have in this kind of good versus bad thing in the superhero thing is that every single movie there's a new bad guy, and at the end they're dead. They kill them off, so you're like, well, there's no point really investing in this bad person, in this character, because I know they're not going to be in the sequel.
Yeah.
Or any other iteration. They're not going to pop up in this show or that show. They're just they're gonna come in, be, I'm going to kill you all,
and then they're gone,
and then die.
Yeah.
And it makes it really hard to kind of invest. Whereas when you keep someone bringing them back, and you kind of, I mean, you look at the journey Loki went on. Like initially intended as a one-stop villain for
ended up
Thor
and
into the Avengers, and then has gone on to kind of
have his own
walk the line
series
between good and bad, and had his own standalone series.
Where, to be honest, the series, I remember being really like, I don't know, I was questioning of what it would be like, and it was so, I didn't expect it at all, like the storyline. I felt I never knew what was going to happen. And then even when you get, and I mean, it's going to be spoilers, but when you get to the end and he meets, what's the name of him in the show? Not Kang, but like the name he's given. He Who Remains or something like that.
Oh, yeah, He Who Remains.
And like you have this image in your head, they're going to come up against some big bad guy, and it's quite a relaxed,
almost
kooky,
anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But so significant for the
Kang,
MCU.
and so well acted as well. Like Jonathan Major's genuinely brilliant in that end of the season moment. And yeah, I just think if it's done right, it's brilliant. But yeah.
The other thing I'd like to see happen, and particularly like DC have such an amazing opportunity to do this, is to play around with genres.
Yeah.
So like I said, Winter Soldier, I'm not going to keep banging on as that as my go-to movie, but that was a espionage thriller.
Yeah.
Whereas like for DC, you could do Constantine, or Dead Man, or any of them, and you could do a horror.
I've heard they're doing a sequel to Constantine
with Keanu Reeves.
That's the one. I nearly said John Wick.
I nearly said John Constantine.
I nearly said John Wick.
But then they could do a horror with the Justice League. In fact, there's a team in the comic Justice League Dark.
Okay.
And it is literally like all the spectral kind of people that deal with that, and the magicians, and like fucking Zatanna's on the team. Because
I didn't know Constantine was a comic.
No,
when I first saw the film, just had no idea. And it wasn't. Is it a Marvel comic?
DC.
Oh, it's DC, and it's not advertised as that in the film or anything.
No.
But no, it's a really good film.
That's what I'm saying. Like he could be, do a fucking horror film. Do you know what I mean? Marvel did a one-shot thing, Werewolf by Night. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I've seen it.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Disney
I mean, it
Plus.
wasn't perfect, but I really liked that they tried to do something different. It was like a horror thing. It kind of harkened back to it. You could see the people who wrote it grew up watching horror films in the 70s and 80s
like
and
American
whatever.
Werewolf or whatever it was.
Yeah, I like that film, American Werewolf.
I don't think I've actually seen it. I hated horror kill. It's only in recent years I can stomach horror films.
Fair enough. But like, there's so much opportunity.
Like, I really want to see the one with Russell Crowe. It's the Pope's Exorcist.
Oh yeah.
And him putting on like a Italian accent, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, you're there. You're in.
I love Russell Crowe. I'm into spooky shit. It's apparently based off a true, like the guy he's playing was a real guy. He was the Pope's exorcist, and like it's apparently based off a story.
Would you do that job?
No, never. I believe in too much of it to risk it.
I'd love to con the head of the church. There's just something in me that just would be so happy.
Yeah.
To be pulling one over on the Pope.
And you know another thing.
And I'd probably pull one over while I was there.
Why not?
How many people? Actually, do you know what? Probably a lot of tourists think how many people, because they've not one out in the Vatican. Probably a lot.
Do you reckon you'd enjoy being an exorcist?
I reckon it'd be boring after a while.
Yeah, be a bit samey, I reckon.
Yeah, it's very samey. Just lots of demons, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just lots of parents showing you kids because they don't understand mental health.
Yeah,
and they're going, my child's possessed. And you're like, no, your child's got depression, my love.
I don't think that's what the film's going to be, though. I'm going to be really disappointed if he just walks into a room. He's like, yeah, your daughter's fine. She just needs some lithium.
Bye.
Yeah, she just needs to start taking her antidepressants again. She'll be fine.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant.
With Russell Crowe telling people that with his Italian accent.
Like, my child's possessed. To be like, your child's autistic. You don't understand this. We're wasting my time.
Yes. There's no demons here.
They still charge.
Of course he still charges.
Yeah. I would. Yeah, but I imagine there's just a lot of demons.
Yeah.
Just a lot, and you're just like, oh, I've got to banish another demon. Yeah, the power of Christ compels you, and you're like, Christ must be fucking drained at this point. I'm calling on him for so much.
No. Christ is everlasting. He's all powerful.
Well, the power of Christ. He fucking ought to be. Yeah. If I'm going to keep
you heathen.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
That's how I'd start.
We have to have an excuse to use that.
And weirdly, I mean, well done you, because we should have used that a long time ago during that chat. That could have come up right at the start, quite frankly.
Could it?
We went a long way through talking about the Pope and exorcisms.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Before we got to that.
All I did basically was I glanced down to be like, is it on that page on the soundboard?
If it wasn't, would you have changed it, or would you have just not bothered?
I'd have thought about it.
You'd have considered it.
I'd have considered it, but probably just gone, that's all right.
That, I can see why you weren't hired as the Pope's exorcist. Is the holy water within reach? Nah. You'll be all right,
I'd have a
water pistol.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super soaker.
Double holstered. Do you know what I mean?
Just imagine running through the Vatican and be like, bam, exercised, bam, bam, saved.
Christ compels you.
Demon be gone. Bam, bam. Just look back on this scene.
Spin it on your finger.
Scene of carnage, of just sopping wet fucking bishops wandering around.
Yeah. No, I'd be
and
out
you're
in
just
the public.
so happy with yourself.
I'd just be in the streets with the people.
They'd love it.
Yeah, just pow, pow. Shoot small children in the face. Pow. Old woman. Pow.
But you're shooting them in the face with the power of Christ.
Exactly. That's what every child needs.
Which I'm now realising sounds a lot like a euphemism when you use it in that way.
Wait a second, Jake. I think you knew that when you said it.
Well, the power of Christ. I absolutely didn't until I said it, and I heard, I'm ramming the power of Christ in a child's face. I'm unloading the power of Christ on a child's face.
Yeah.
It's questionable.
What makes holy water holy?
It gets blessed, doesn't it?
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
they
I think
just
so.
Bang a couple.
Yeah, they just
Hail Mary a bit, and
yeah.
Fair enough.
Same with the wine, isn't it?
What about the wine?
Yeah, it's got to be blessed.
Oh, does it? What, to make it his blood?
So there's a great storyline it's a really hit and miss episode, but of Only Fools and Horses.
Okay.
Where Del Boy's latest scheme is he gets the local bishop in or whatever, and he's like, look, right, never mind all your bloody, think of all the time you'll save, right? I can supply you with a lorry load of wine, and you bless it by the lorry load, and we send it out to the country, charge the churches, lovely jubbly. Said it all goes tits up when he orders white wine, because he doesn't speak Romanian and he doesn't know what he'd ordered.
Oh, shit.
But it's a great idea of just like, hey, there's money in this.
Yeah.
It's a great mindset of who he is as a character and his mindset.
Who
looks at the church and thinks, there's money here.
Don't you think that's how the Pope looks at it?
100%. Sitting on his big ass throne with his big ass hat.
And I don't think we should throw stones from our monarchied country.
Well, I will.
Because you don't want any of it.
Should we, instead of throwing stones, what if we shoot super soakers should we stand on the cliffs of Dover and just...
What, the king, or...?
Fire the power of Christ at the continent.
No, but
we could...
No, but then we're going to end up dousing poor migrants.
Who do you think
with the power of God?
And then how can we not let them in when they've
To be honest, we've
saved their souls.
That's a hate
not
crime.
Be letting in?
I'm pretty sure that would be considered a hate crime.
I've saved them.
No, but they don't.
Oh,
they're most likely not Christian or Catholic.
I'm not going to lie. If you're coming over in a really questionable dinghy, overloaded, the last thing you want is water coming from above as well. You're sort of done with water.
They're not going to know either. They're going to be at the potentially at the rocks at the bottom of the cliff at this point, because that's how the water's getting to them, surely. And they can't see us, they can't hear us. You're just stood at the top of this cliff going, the power of Christ.
It might be very woke and preachy.
You.
Woke. You know what we're like with that word.
Yeah.
Would you like to see, to bring us back on track, because I love a good segue.
Please.
Would you like to see a superhero do it? Would you like to see a superhero movie tackling the issue of migration?
What would the superhero be called?
Well, you could veil it, and you could
Immigration Man.
You could do it as like Superman or Martian Manhunter, and rather than immigrants going from other countries, you could do it as creatures coming from other worlds.
Right.
So you could kind of veil it and have this anti-alien sentiment, and have them tackling that, and you're like, well, actually, they're providing valuable assets to our country, and they're actually really valuable. Would you be happy to see that? A bit more political, basically.
I think that would work better in a TV show.
Okay, or a TV show. I mean, we're talking about film and TV.
Yeah, I think if you did that in TV format, it might work a bit more, because watching... I mean, it sort of happened in... Was it Justice League? The one where you had What's His Chops as Lex Luthor, and the courts are involved and Superman's in court. So I guess it's...
Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, it's done a bit... but the film... If the whole film was Superman in litigation, arguing about his rights as a citizen of the US, an alien.
I just think Superman, dealing with, let's face it, like the country has become quite torn in America, quite, the right wing have got a grip. Imagine Superman coming in to save someone and people harassing him and telling him to, F off. Why don't you're un-American? Why are you? And also that other thing with Superman, you did the whole thing of why do you insist on saving everyone in the world? Like, either you're American or you're not, pal. We look after our own kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it could. I think it could work. I mean, I've only just said it out loud. Just on the fly.
I think it could. I think then
it doesn't have to be Superman.
It has to be paired. Lex would have to be doing something, surely, wouldn't he? He'd have to be up to some sort of malfeasance.
Yeah. And you can't kill him off, like for the.
I mean, he owns the media, doesn't he? So he could be.
Yeah, he could be the one feeding it, because it would be a great way to turn the tide on Superman,
rather than going after him aggressively.
I think I'm not saying they
there's
should do it, but there's
something there.
And I wouldn't be against. I wouldn't be against them going a bit political.
I think we should email James Gunn.
And also
he's the guy to talk to.
Because then Superman, as much as he's fighting a villain, or even if it's not Superman,
he's fighting the people.
Yeah, as much as he's fighting a villain every week, his real enemy across the series is the public perception.
Yeah.
On not just him, but on immigrants as a whole.
Yeah.
And it's a much harder battle to fight. You can't just go and punch the shit out of the public's views on immigration.
Do you think part of the problem also is the rise of stuff like Deadpool? Like, Deadpool is a different type of superhero movie. It's R-rated, it's funny, doesn't take itself seriously. It's X-rated, it's different. I think, whereas everything from Marvel, more or less, is quite PG.
Well, Deadpool is Marvel, but not MCU Marvel. It will be.
It will be.
Well, I think that's the beauty of it, is that, again, it's, it's like, well, we can do X-rated, we can do comedy, because that's basically what it is, really. It's a comedy
that has a superhero.
In it.
And he's not. He's like the whole first film. He was the anti-hero, wasn't he? That was the whole advertisement.
And that's kind of, again, I just think I go back to that thing of, let's play with some genres here.
I mean, look at The Boys as well. That's taken the superhero idea and flipped it on its head massively. And for anyone who hasn't watched it, I would highly recommend it. It's a very good watch because it deals with some. I like shows where they sort of deal with quite complex issues in quite blasé ways at times, and there's a couple of quite dark moments where it just feels like, oh, all right, that's happened.
And the beauty of, I know obviously with the latest season, and no, not to give too many spoilers away, but with the Project V or whatever they call it, that it does level time. But the brilliance of Billy Butcher versus Homelander is that Billy Butcher can't just go and punch the shit out of Homelander.
No.
He has to be clever. He has to try and turn public opinion. He has to try and turn, because he can't just duke it out. And again, like if that's a traditional superhero movie, halfway through the film he gets the power up and they go and duke it out. Yeah, that's it, and it's done.
And that's not what happens in The Boys.
No, I do definitely feel like this. For me, what James Gunn was saying really resonated with me. Like, there is just a real lack of depth in storytelling.
Yeah, I think there's something in the idea of rooting the stories of superhero films in the non-hero aspect of the story. So something that was done quite well I thought in the Justice League was the effect Superman having a huge fight with Zod had on the world around him and the collateral damage it caused. And I think that those sort of ideas have weight to them, because you can, in a world where it's fantastical and the person you're watching is out of this world, and like in Superman is, as we know, OP, like he's the most powerful superhero there is. To find a way to ground it, make it more relatable, is the way to go forward, I think.
Yeah, and I think for me it is a hard one, but sort of feeding into what you were saying as well, the film should be standalone films. Yeah. But connected at the same time. So that if you watch them all, you get a bonus. Yeah. But if you don't miss out. You still get the joy of a film or a TV show.
And I feel like, for the most part, Marvel probably did that quite well.
But it's with this latest phase, I feel like they don't really know. Now they're going with Kang. Obviously, that's up in the air at the moment. But once they go with Kang, it kind of, they've drawn it back together. But before this, the last phase, I don't feel like they knew where they were going.
No, well, like, one of the films...
Once they got the rights to the Universal and Fox and stuff, suddenly it was like, okay, let's do multiverse. Because we've set ourselves, this is our universe. How do we expand that? Multiverse. Yeah. Let's go and we can hit the reset button if we need to hit the reset button and bring everyone in. But before that, I don't know if they knew where they were going.
Do you think they'll end up bringing back any of the big names that have left it? Like, could you see Robert Downey Jr., even if it was just like in one film, a variant or something like that, or Chris Evans, anything like that?
I'd hope not. I really would. I mean, saw Freddie Prinze Jr. recently doing an interview talking about, because he did the voice of Kanan Jarrus on Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
And I saw
Wasn't he like a teenage heartthrob back in the day?
Freddie Prinze Jr., yeah. What's the one kind of ship they can't sink? A friendship.
What's that from?
Friends.
Oh, is it?
Dude, easiest college, best college I've ever been to, or whatever Joe says.
I can't remember that bit.
It's when he's the male nanny. And that whole thing where Ross is really uncomfortable.
Oh, and he makes the Madeleines, is it? Like the little cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, how were they? Lighter than air. But he's got to go. And he has the sock puppets.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we know who's going to be Mr. Grumpy. Or the Grumpus.
I do remember that.
But he saw him talking about his role as Kanan, and they were like, would you ever do it again, reenact it? Because a lot of the characters from Rebels are being given live action debuts in Ahsoka.
Okay.
And he said no.
Is that out now?
No, coming out this year.
Okay.
And he just straight up said no. He said, I'm really pleased with what we did with Kanan. I'm really pleased with the arc that we got to explore with that. And he says, and I feel like I don't want to touch it now because I don't want to tarnish the legacy of it. And he was like, he was asked to be in a series of, I think it was The Bad Batch. And he said no. And he was asked to, do you know, in the Force Awakens or whichever one it is, when Rey touches the lightsaber and they all shout to her.
Okay, yeah.
He was asked to be one of those voices.
And he said no?
And he said no. He's like, I'm not touching the legacy of Kanan. He's like, I'm really happy with the way we did it.
Okay.
And I want to leave it at that. And I hope, the reason I'm telling you guys this, I hope that Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. do the same thing and go, I'm really happy with the way we ended it. I'm happy with the arcs.
I definitely think he wouldn't want to come back, Robert Downey Jr.
He's done with it, isn't he?
Yeah, I've heard him talk about it, and he was just like, we did a good thing, basically.
Yeah.
And we gave it a good end. And they did.
I feel like he'd very much embraced that Noel Gallagher attitude towards it of like, I'd have to be really broke to do it. And I'm not really broke. I'm actually very rich.
Because he was on Joe Rogan once, and that was when I heard him talk about it. And Joe was like, "But like, just imagine the moment." He was like, "When you walk back on screen and no one knew it was coming." And he was like, "Yeah," he was like, "That would be amazing, but it's cool. I'm all right, basically."
Also, you can't keep that kind of shit secret anymore, can you?
No, I mean, there's always stuff leaking from the films. And like, there's been pictures of is it Anthony Mackie, who's now Captain America, of his new outfit.
I'm so upset because his new outfit that he got at the end of Falcon and the Winter Soldier was dope. It was quite comic accurate.
I only watched a little bit of that. I got a little bit bored.
But it was quite comic accurate from his time as Captain America and the characters. No,
I didn't think so. So how's he like going to Captain America that shit? Because like Chris Evans was holding
it's really just about
a helicopter.
It's really just about being the a face of.
Okay.
I think because they do explore in the show. They do explore the fact that actually they gave the super soldier serum successfully and had in the like Vietnam War, I think it was, a black Captain America, and it was widely rejected by the public because of racist attitudes at the time. And Anthony Mackie's character Sam Wilson goes and meets him. This is Isaiah Bradley, and they're there, and he's going to be in the film as well. I think they're going to explore that.
Maybe I'll have to sit and watch the series.
But it's one of them things where the fucking costume was dope as fuck, and when he first flies into the building and lands and does that costume reveal, and it's like, fuck, that's a good looking suit. And then to see they've changed it, it's like
that is something that pisses me off about superhero films. Daredevil did it as well, not film, series, where they wait to do the costume reveal until the end of the season. It fucks me right.
But that
off.
Daredevil one I liked because that was kind of drawing inspiration from Frank Miller's run on Daredevil, and it was a big part of his arc. It was really good. I didn't hate it.
But then again, talking about superhero stuff, Daredevil was brilliant.
Yeah.
What were the other ones? I enjoyed. Was it the Defenders when they had them all together? But I sort of liked the Iron Fist. I liked the idea behind it, but it wasn't done particularly well. I didn't like Jessica. No, I liked what's his chops?
David Tennant and
Jessica Jones. But that was the only thing I really enjoyed about it. And I like Kristen Ritter, so it's not like a thing about her. But Luke Cage was dreadful, to be honest with you.
I kind of liked them all, to be honest.
But no, I thought Daredevil was
head and shoulders above
Punisher, though, which I
like Punisher as well.
But again, excellent casting.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see they're going to continue with Charlie Cox.
Yeah, and John Bernthal.
Yeah.
Who
again?
You ain't gonna get a better Punisher.
And you know what? I've seen because he does a podcast and stuff. He's not the person I would have thought him to be based off of the characters he's played, which I know is a silly attitude to have, but it was quite a nice. The villain in
Punisher's done quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jigsaw.
I haven't seen the series.
It's not. You don't find out. He doesn't get called Jigsaw till like.
Oh, okay.
The end
fair
of
enough.
Thing. But yeah, those series are really good. That's another thing that annoys me with superhero movies. It's just because of the merchandising. Every new film they get a new outfit. Yeah, it's like, bro, that's not very believable for the characters. No. I know I'm talking about characters that fly.
And even in Daredevil, it sort of has to be shoehorned into the story that something happens to his armor, and
I'm well aware I'm talking about what's believable to characters that fly and like lift cars above their heads. But
it's funny because I've talked to you about off pod. I stumbled across the fact Michael Rosenbaum has his own podcast, and for anyone who doesn't know, he was the actor who played Lex Luthor. The
definitive Lex Luthor.
I couldn't agree more. And I've been watching a couple of episodes back, and he's just fucking good.
Perfect.
His relationship with Tom Welling as Clark Kent is just brilliant. But he has his own podcast called Inside of You, and he also does another one with Tom Welling, the guy who played Clark Kent.
They do a rewatch, don't
they? They rewatch the episodes of Smallville, talk about it, behind the scenes stuff, how they felt at the time, things going on in their lives. It's really, really good.
Yeah, if you like Smallville as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was funny because I didn't even recognise him when I saw it, because obviously when he was Lex, he's bald-headed, he's younger, he's a bit. He's not fat now, but like
he gets a cameo in Guardians.
Does he?
Well, he's friends with James Gunn.
I saw a picture of him. He's friends with loads of people. He's actually quite well
he's a really
connected.
nice guy.
Yeah.
Well, you get the impression.
Yeah, absolutely. He seems quite earnest from what I see of him.
And he only needs to ask people to be on the podcast, doesn't he?
It seems to be. He gets a lot of like. I was really surprised at some of the names he'd had on there. And actually, he's quite good at it, because I don't normally like Zoom podcasts, but like most of the Talkville ones are over Zoom. A lot of his guests, because he was recording a lot during COVID, were over Zoom. But no, and like people seem quite happy to talk to him about stuff as well, and it doesn't get too emotional. Because I was a big fan of Diary of CEO for a while, but it just became the pod people went on to cry and give like their sob story, and
why my life is so hard and why I'm so great for making it.
And that wasn't what it was when it started. It was genuinely about getting business people on to tell their story of how they built their business. Like there was one I loved of the guy who'd created Phones for You and made it massive, and like how he ended up making it. It was fascinating, but that's not what it is now.
But Smallville,
jumped
on the bandwagon of that teen drama thing that was doing it with like the OC and what's that one that my cousin used to really like, Dawson's Creek, and all those things that
I hated.
She's the right age. She's about the same age as my cousin as well. Like there's a clear demographic
that was
there.
The show then though, and I was about 5 years younger, so I just didn't do it.
There's a 5-year age gap between me and my cousin, so they're women of that age. At that time, very much the targeted
Dawson's
audience.
Creek.
But Smallville just did that, took the blueprint for the teen drama and did it with superhero elements. Like
again, and it was Freak of the Week. The key is not, call it.
The key is not making a superhero film. It's making a film that has superheroes in it.
Yeah.
That for me.
And like Clark was just a normal teenage boy who happened to be Superman or was becoming Superman. Do you know what I mean? Like discovering his powers.
I understand the pressure that he's under, and I'm well aware of the success that they've had. So for me to sit here and tell Kevin Feige what I think he should be doing is rich. But if I were Kevin Feige, that's what I'd be looking at.
You're coming at it not from a I'm superior and I'm better than Kevin Feige. It's I'm a fan of this work and how it moves forward.
And not just a fan as well, but I much like yourself, I consider myself to be a sort of creative person as well. So from that creative perspective, from that storytelling perspective, it's like there's so many great stories that you can tell and then just add superhero elements to them. I think
the massive word is lazy. If it feels lazy, it loses your interest when you have like our sort of mindset of like what we enjoy and like you say, that creative aspect. And I feel like sometimes these things can be lazy, whereas like with Smallville, for example, it was a story about a teenage boy having weird changes in his body on an extreme level, but throwing in there
and doing teenage
girlfriend
life
drama, issues with friends, keeping secrets, family issues, like money issues at the family farm. It was all, and it all worked, and it was all brilliant.
Yeah, for that genre, it was absolutely perfect. And then there's a bit of superhero stuff.
Yeah, he happens to save people on the side.
But there's so many stories you could tell and then apply them to superhero characters.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, well, here's a superhero. And like the whole thing of, that good guy, bad guy, oh, look, we killed him and we won and we saved the Earth. It's like, I don't want to see that film because I've seen that film comes into the cinema 3 or 4 times a year as like a big release, not just minor. 3 or 4 times a year that film is in the cinema.
Yeah.
Whether it's Marvel, whether it's DC, whether it's some other big studio, like whether it's doing the Fast and Furious or whatever, that shit is always in the cinema.
Yes,
I don't want to see it again. I want to see something a bit more complex, and that's why when you get like the series as well, it's a great opportunity to explore that more. So when they revert to the basic thing, you're like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, and I think that's why like the Dark Knight or like the Christopher Nolan Batman films worked for me, because it just did it in a like, we'd not seen like the Batman films before that were all glossy. It was whoever the biggest name male actor was at the time, or one of them. Like everyone was dressed sexy and it was flirty and it was over the top, and the Dark Knight series was none of that. It was far more grounded. Like Batman wasn't up against his biggest villain, wasn't someone with superpowers. It was just a guy who was off his rocker.
There is a kind of like save the city, kill the bad guy vibe, but because Bruce has such a connection to fucking Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
Because he has such a connection to Ra's al Ghul, it's much more personal. So that when there's that turnaround and they're on the monorail or whatever, and he's like, I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you
either.
There's a lot of, because it's a throwback to earlier, and it's really personal. Yeah. In the second one, doesn't kill him.
No.
He's like, I'm not going to kill. You're a fucking nutcase and you deserve to die, but I'm not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Then the third one where he does kind of, kill him, basically. I mean, he doesn't kill him, but he doesn't try and stop him being killed.
No.
And they just save the city, arguably the weakest of the 3.
Yeah.
Because it's the most... I mean, it's not because necessarily, but it helps being the weakest. Yeah. It is just the most basic story.
The only reason that ended up happening was because sadly Heath Ledger was lost. But because I thought, that's the biggest thing about it, is like, what would the next one have been?
Yeah, the what ifs. What could have been.
How many more did you reckon they would have ended it on the 3rd still?
Yeah, I think Nolan would have always ended it on the 3rd. Okay. Do you?
Yeah, I think the executives wouldn't have wanted to.
No, they'd have dragged it out and they'd have probably offered it to...
But also, I don't think Christian Bale or Heath Ledger would have signed up. They'd have said,
no, they'd have been true. Yeah. But the studios would have definitely been saying to Christian Bale, we'll give you a shit ton of money if you come back and do another one with like another director.
I wonder if he's had that offer since. Do you know what I mean? If they were like, if we
definitely.
Did. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, he's definitely... I mean, he's up there as my favourite Batman. 100%.
And it is lazy storytelling, like with this stuff. Because I was just thinking about the TV shows. I'm like, Arrow. I liked the end of Arrow, but I did give up a bit halfway. I did give up.
It.
No, I gave up, and I
couldn't tell you how far I got.
I tell you, I only came back for the last series.
Okay.
Because it was a short series.
Did you miss much?
I didn't know what some of the stuff that was going on for sure, but because it was a short series and because I knew it was the end, I was like, well, let's see how they do it.
Because I think I remember me and you talking about back at the start of the podcast, and I think we talked about Arrow because we both liked it. Yeah. We liked the stories, the actors, but it was just too long. It was the 24 episodes.
But then I look at The Flash, and the biggest problem I had with The Flash was it was literally not even every week, every fucking series, the overarching story was Barry's not fast enough. Yeah, but by the end...
he needs to get faster.
Yes, he is. And it's like, are we doing that again?
Yeah.
I'd literally start a season... Like, I think that's what turned me off. I turned on, saw who the villain was going to be for the overall series, and it was like, fucking doing that shit again, are we?
I think two of the series, the villain's basically the same person. It's him.
Yeah, and it was just like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah.
I'm not having Barry be too slow to win and then too far, fast enough at the end. It's like, I'm not investing in... What are they, 40 minutes an episode? So that's got to be a good 18 hours of television.
Yeah.
I'm not investing in 18 hours of television for the same story I've seen.
Yeah. But I also felt with those shows, they didn't quite have the money behind them to be as polished as they could be either.
Well, it was just even the storytelling, like I said, it was just really, really lazy. And the 24 episodes killed it.
Yeah.
But I do think...
And I also get sick of the American system of this fucking, like, mid-season break bullshit.
Yeah, I hate it.
It really gets on... Because for me, I then lose my momentum with it, and I might not pick it back up again.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Americans are probably more used to it. But for me, like, there's nothing worse
and the stuff that
being left on a fucking cliffhanger.
What happens
told, we'll be back in 3 months. It's
what happens a lot of the time is... Because in America, all this stuff... There's like a schedule, so there's a lot of the stuff starts in the fall, in the winter, in the autumn, and then what happens is because of the way, the maths works out on it, the mid-season break is usually about a week after a Christmas episode, so you have a filler episode, then you finally get back to the good stuff, and then they fuck off for 3 months, and you're like, right, I'm done with you now.
Yeah. And it actually ends up pissing you off and makes you end up
you cast it aside out of anger because you're like, we've just had a filler episode with the fucking Christmas bollocks.
Yeah.
We finally get into the good stuff again, only for it to all be set up and then we've got to resolve it.
I didn't watch Supergirl. I haven't watched...
Supergirl, actually...
Is it Clark and Lois?
I really like that.
Oh, have you? Have you watched it then? Okay.
Yeah.
Because the guy who plays Superman, I think he was in Teen Wolf.
Yeah, Tyler Hoechlin, whatever his name is.
Something like that. But
he's a really good Superman, by the way.
I saw an episode around Leanne's once, and the guy who plays Lex Luthor was the brother from 2.5 Men.
Yeah, John Cryer.
So I just couldn't take him seriously.
No, I couldn't.
There was a brilliant clip I did see on YouTube of him like travelling the multiverse to
That was from the crossover.
And they had like Tom Welling and people like all that in it, and I was like, that was good. I like stuff like that.
He's trying to take Superman's powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't agree with that casting. No offense to John Cryer.
No, when I saw it, I was like, he is the last person I would choose.
Supergirl did actually tackle the alien immigration thing. Yeah.
Okay. No, I watched.
I've not seen that much of it.
Leanne and her mum used to watch it a lot, but I just never really got into it, to be honest with you. Is there any other TV shows?
The superhero TV shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC have got a few.
Do you know one?
Titans.
One I watched.
Doom Patrol.
And I don't know if you've seen it or if I've even mentioned it. Invincible.
Yeah, I like Invincible.
Yeah, I liked that as well with Omni-Man and yeah, it's quite cool.
And again, it's a really personal story.
Yeah.
And the good guys, bad guys don't die at the end. It's not.
No.
It's more complex.
I kept like having, because what I like about Prime is if you touch the screen, like if you're watching it on your tablet,
who's in it and who's
yeah. So I was like, is that fucking Seth Rogen? Oh, it is Seth Rogen who's named.
Yeah, he's an
Another Planet.
Executive producer on the series.
Oh, is he? That makes sense. All right, but no, there was loads of different voices where I was like, is that? And it was.
Yeah, it's J. Jonah. He's not J. Jonah Jameson. His name is what's his name? The guy who plays Omni-Man.
He was Jane Jonah.
Yeah, because in my head, that's all he is.
Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
That's it.
But in my head, that's all he is.
Yeah. And I didn't even pick up it was his voice until about halfway through the season. I was like, wait, now that does ring a bell.
I think Sandra Oh plays his wife as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. It's like quite a big cast, actually, for an animated series.
Yeah, Zachary Quinto, whatever his name is, plays...
Oh, the robot, doesn't he?
Yeah, Robot. I think he's just called Robot.
Yeah. But no, I mean, there's good stuff out there. And there was wasn't there a horror film not that long ago that was about if Superman went bad sort of thing, and it was a kid and he had Superman's powers.
It was, yeah. Do you know what that was? I can't remember what the name of the film, but do you know who directed it?
Who was it?
James Gunn.
Was it?
Brightburn or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to do what if Superman was a dickhead kid, basically.
Yeah. If he was a
troubled child. Yeah. But I really liked in the X-Men they did where they killed off Logan, it was called.
Oh, yeah.
That exploring the idea of what if the most brilliant, powerful mind succumbed to a degenerative brain disease. Yeah. It was brilliant.
And then even like Logan's own healing ability.
Yeah.
And what gives him his biggest strength being what's killing him at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I just think there's a lot of diversity in stories to be told. But I think Marvel and DC in particular are too scared. They're so focused on turning a profit
I think because
that they just want to hit the big points, the big action, big stars. It's mainly associated
with being family entertainment, isn't it? So when you take your kids to go and see Logan, wouldn't have necessarily been a film you took your kids to see.
No.
And I think therein lies the problem.
But also I appreciate that what's really easy to get,
I think you can do both though.
But they want big action sequences and big movie stars.
Yeah.
And the best way to attract a big movie star is to get him in a one movie deal. You're not going to get... It's harder to sign a big star up
for multiple films.
For 2, 3, 4 films. I mean,
Robert Downey Jr., they probably got lucky in the sense of he wasn't as big as he is now, but he was also...
He was just making his revival.
Yeah. So they got him at the right stage where it was like this...
Chris
Evans had
turned it down a couple of times because of the commitment, because of the 6-movie deal he would have signed on to, or whatever.
Yeah, and that was always a stumbling block for them, from what I used to read, was that it was constantly renegotiating deals and convincing people to stick around.
And I do appreciate that makes it difficult, and it makes it easier, to just kill off your bad guy. Bring in a big star, get the name on the poster, kill him off, and you don't have to worry about, keeping them and trying to convince them to come back for the next one.
Yeah, because Chris Evans, because to be fair, the first Captain America wasn't particularly well received, and before that he'd been in the Fantastic Four as the Human Torch, and that wasn't particularly well received.
Well, the second one certainly wasn't. No. The first one was at the time. To be fair,
I actually thought they were all right. To be honest,
the first one went down really well at the time.
Yeah, I remember thinking they were all right, but then I didn't even particularly mind the newer Fantastic Four film.
No, I didn't think it was terrible.
No,
they're definitely flawed.
But again, I think that was a case of casting was good, story not so
it
much.
Was. The director, I can't think of his name, but he basically tweeted, didn't he, around the time it was being promoted, and he said, "I made a superhero movie that I'm really proud of. Yeah. I'm so upset none of you will ever see it."
Yeah,
basically saying that the studio got involved and
destroyed
completely re-edited it.
Because I remember being really excited for that one because I liked all the people in it. I thought it was a really good.
It was great.
There was a lot of potential. I mean, who is it? There's someone else linked with being Mr. Fantastic now. Who is it?
Oh, Adam Driver.
That's the one. I don't know how I feel about that one.
No, I'm not sure. DC I trust with casting. DC have not steered me wrong. Even when I'm like, I don't know, they've not steered me wrong. Marvel, they're pretty good, but they're not quite DC level.
No. But then saying that they have nailed a few, like Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., hands down.
Oh, I think all of the core...
Brilliant. Even Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Even recasting the Hulk.
Yeah.
Mark, spoiler
Ruffalo.
Man, Ruffalo. Yeah, Mark the spoiler man, Ruffalo.
From Edward Norton. But apparently that was more to do with how of a pain in the arse Edward Norton was.
Yeah, but apparently his creative process is hit and miss.
Demanding.
Marmite. It's very Marmite. Yeah. Some people really enjoy working with him, and some people don't.
He wanted a level of control a big organisation like that just can't abide by when they're trying to create something.
But yeah, I think...
And the thing is, they were going from he was having his own movie to Mark Ruffalo hasn't had a standalone... I mean, I've not watched She-Hulk either. That's another one I've not watched.
She's well cast for what they were going for.
Yeah. But, he's not had any standalone movies. They needed someone who was fine being...
She-Hulk, by the way, was really enjoyable for me.
Because they bring Tim Roth back in it, don't they?
Yeah. As this completely changed, he's like a shaman.
Yeah.
Very spiritual now, and he runs a getaway course at his house for people who have maybe been low-level supervillains.
Right, okay.
That want to kind of rehabilitate and find a second chance in life and whatever. And you get a great opportunity to get a run up for some of the really minor characters. There's also a great character in that. They handle it really well. He's a Mr. Immortal.
Okay.
He just
can't die.
He's immortal. He can't die, and he's being sued by 13 women or whatever because what he does is he gets in relationships, gets married, and as soon as they bring up awkward conversation, he just fakes his death and moves on. And even as they're doing it, as their position is going and not the deposition, the kind of interview in the legal department is going on, and it gets a bit awkward. He just starts to walk towards the window, and they're like, "No, fucking sit there. You're not getting out of this again."
Yeah.
Really well handled. But there was a bit where, in the comic, She-Hulk does break the fourth wall.
Okay.
But they took it too far in that series with the fourth wall break.
Okay.
Didn't like it.
I might have to watch it.
Didn't like it. She basically...
Is it worth watching?
It's worth watching up to the point where she breaks into Disney Plus.
Right. Okay.
And she literally breaks into Disney Plus. She climbs out of her show, goes through Disney Plus. And at that point, I was like, Matt, it's too meta. I like meta.
I've got to admit, that's putting me off.
Up to that point, and that's only the last, 20 minutes of the last episode.
So she ring girls you?
Sort of. And then she goes and decides to have a chat with, some robot posing as the head of Marvel. And she's like, what about the X-Men, by the way? You guys have been teasing that for years. When are you guys bringing that in?
when they find a replacement for Hugh Jackman, basically.
But yeah, up until that point, it was just a comedy. It was just 20-minute episodes, a fun legal drama.
Who owned X-Men?
Matt Murdock gets to tap that, by the way.
Does he?
Does the walk of shame in his Daredevil costume.
What a lad.
Like, it's just fun.
Nice.
But again, it's fun, and they did focus on the superhero thing, because it was like, you're a superhero now, you're a target.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, well, I don't want to be a fucking targeted superhero. I want to be a lawyer.
Because I know that one of the next films coming up, because I didn't realise William Hurt had passed away.
Yeah, Harrison Ford, you're talking about
replacing him.
Yeah,
he's replacing him.
I've got a list of all the Marvel. So this is phase 4. You tell me how much of this you've seen, by the way.
Right, okay.
So it starts with the films and moves on to the TV shows. Black Widow.
Yay.
Shang-Chi.
Yay.
Eternals.
Yay.
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yay.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Thor Love and Thunder.
Yay.
Wakanda Forever.
Yay.
Werewolf by Night.
Nay.
WandaVision.
I watched a few episodes.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Watched a few episodes.
Loki.
Yes.
What If, the first series of What If.
Yay. Yeah, loved that.
Hawkeye.
Nay.
Moon Knight.
Yay.
Miss Marvel.
Nay.
She-Hulk.
Nay.
And here's phase 5. And I've actually only seen one thing on this, although a lot of them aren't out yet. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is what's slated, whether that happens. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
I know it's just come out on the...
Yeah, I intend to watch it. Me and Leanne are
going to watch that at the weekend.
Guardians Volume 3.
Nice.
No, you are. The Marvels.
Oh, is it?
What about these? About for this one, what are you intending to watch? Okay, you're intending to watch Quantumania.
Yes.
Guardians 3.
Yes.
The Marvels.
No.
Captain America: New World Order. Although I think it's going to get a title change.
Yeah, I probably will watch that, but I don't know if I'd go to the cinema to see it.
The Thunderbolts, or Thunderbolts.
I like the fact they're bringing old characters back. So yeah, I probably would watch that.
Blade.
Yes, because I think I know who's starring as Blade, and I like him.
Ali.
Yeah, he's been in Hunger Games and things like that, hasn't he? Was he in House of Cards?
He was in Green Book. The Green Book. Him and Viggo Mortensen.
No, I've not seen it.
Really good film, that.
Is he the guy with like the mustache?
I'm pretty sure he was the main.
He was the bald head.
Yeah, he was the first. He was the bad guy, the first bad guy in Luke Cage. But he played it really well.
Yes, him.
He was great, and he was good in that.
So I would see that, yeah. And I liked the old Blades.
Secret Invasion.
Yes, because I like what's his chops, Samuel L.
Loki, the second series.
Yes.
What If, the second series.
Yes.
Ironheart.
What is it?
It's. I don't know if you've seen...
Isn't it a girl that's in uni or something?
I don't know if you've seen Wakanda Forever. She was introduced into that.
Oh, her.
Riri Williams.
Maybe. Sort of maybe.
Echo.
What's Echo?
In Hawkeye, there is a deaf character.
Do you see what I mean?
No. Okay, but she's a deaf character that kind of works for her uncle who worked for the Kingpin, or her dad who worked for the Kingpin.
Right, okay.
And basically the Kingpin decided to turn on him, as Kingpin does, and killed him.
Right.
And framed
so she's getting
Hawkeye.
Her own film.
So she basically went after Hawkeye, being like, fucking killed my dad. And then it was like, I didn't fucking kill you, to do the Mike Tyson thing, like, fuck me, why say fuck me for? It's fucking... So now she's going to go after Kingpin.
Okay.
Agatha, which again, if you didn't watch the WandaVision all the way through, you probably don't know who that is.
Is she the witch at the end?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Why is she getting a film?
It's not a film TV series, I think.
Right.
Coven of Witches, it's called.
Okay. Probably not.
And this one I'm almost certain you will. Daredevil Born Again.
Oh, absolutely. So are they rebooting the Daredevil series, or is it a continue? Because I've only heard he's back in it.
I feel like it'll probably be a reboot. Oh, Karen Page, I think, is back.
Oh, is she?
But I tell you who's not signed, or who's not been asked yet. And I'm really gutted because I really
Foggy?
like... Yeah. Their relationship was great.
They cannot do it without
Their
Foggy.
chemistry was great.
No, fuck that.
That whole episode...
I think that might ruin it for me.
That whole episode where they get drunk and they're like, we're going to be the best of whalers in the fucking city. Like, look at that. I love that.
Foggy's like the best part of that show.
He's brilliant.
Because the thing is...
Brilliant.
Matthew Murdock's like one of the driest characters you'd ever come across. So he needs Foggy.
Foggy's the people person.
Yeah.
Matt's the better lawyer because obviously he can fucking hear when people are lying and shit. But Foggy's the people person. Foggy's the front of the business.
Yeah.
And he's a really capable lawyer in his own right.
Yeah, he's a legend. And like he gets smoking ladies. Like it's throw it out
there.
He's
like, be fair, he
Absolutely.
He is pulled.
He has pulled. He's punching.
I mean, in the comics, he's like tapping Karen Page at one point as well.
Oh shoot!
Yep.
Yeah, another tasty lady.
So yeah,
am I allowed to say that?
And will you watch the first DC film in the rebooted schedule, which is Superman Legacy?
Oh, do we know who's Superman?
No.
Well, yeah, I will.
There's
a
few rumours.
Who are the rumours?
I don't know the people.
Shall I have
They're
a quick
relatively
Google?
unknown. Yeah, you can have a Google.
All right, you might need to pad for a second.
But it's the first one. James Gunn's going to direct it himself. He's writing it now.
Superman.
As we speak, he might be typing up the screenplay.
Who's Diego? Oh, okay. Let's have a look. This is who GQ. Oh, fuck off! Fucking who are these people?
I don't reckon. I don't know a lot of them.
No, I'm saying the camera. All right, now give me the list. David Corin Sweat.
Yes, that rings a bell. I don't know him though.
I'm trying to see what he's been in. The Politician and Hollywood. Apparently are his biggest roles. Nicholas Hoult. I don't know.
Nicholas Hoult is being slated as Lex Luthor.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. That's the rumours I'm hearing.
Oh, is this like going to be the rumours for the cast?
Yeah. That's the rumours I'm hearing.
Jacob Elordi.
What do you think of Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor? You buy it? It's hard because we've said like...
Oh, because he's going to have to be bald.
Do you know what's really upsetting is that James
Luthor.
Gunn is really good friends with Michael Rosenbaum, who is the perfect Lex Luthor.
Oh, bring him back,
and it's like,
bro.
why wouldn't you... Like, I would be on his arse every time we met up.
I'd be like, come on, Michael, bro. The thing is, I think he's got... Having listened to him talk about...
He's done with that.
That, and I also think the time he spent on Smallville was some of the most turbulent of his life. So I think he has quite complicated feelings towards Lex as a character.
But the thing is, for being if you're a method actor, so to speak, I know he's not.
No.
But if he were, it's perfect because Lex is a really turbulent, troubled character. You're in the right mindset, bro.
Yeah, but it might just not be something he wants to revisit.
Look, it's not going to be like that. You know what film sets are like with this man. You love this man. You work with this man.
Yeah.
Come back, Mike.
Yeah, but
we
then
want
I feel
you back.
like you've got to find a way to, like, maybe Tom Welling needs to be Jonathan Kent. Do you know what I mean? He's of the age.
He's of that age.
He's got the silver running through his hair.
And there'd be a great. Just imagine the scene because we know the chemistry exists.
Yeah.
Imagine the scene where
Tom giving him shit or
Lex
something.
Lex comes to visit Clark, whoever Clark is, and Tom just straight up gives him the vibe like, I don't like you, bro.
Yeah.
You're bad for my son, and I don't want you near him.
Yeah.
Imagine that chat. And him, Lex not being able to give anything away, so he's got to be like, let's not forget, I've got the power here.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Because I love, like, one of my favourite parts of Smallville is the relationship Lex craves with the Kents throughout a long part of it.
And they just never buy into him because he's a Luthor.
Yeah. And that struggle of him, like, that's one of the best parts of Smallville was that Lex wasn't like he was just a villain. He was actually a guy that wanted to belong.
But he always had that darkness in him.
Yeah. And if he'd have just been, and you get that sort of what if sense throughout the series of that if Clark had trusted him with his secret, might have things been different and, So
or would he have always,
Yeah, and that's the great part of it. But yeah, I'd have him back as Lex Luthor in a heartbeat. I know he'd absolutely smash it. It'd be interesting to see him on the big screen as Lex Luthor, having only ever seen him in the TV show.
But just rounding off our kind of superhero burnout thing, I do feel quite burnt out with not just superheroes, but Hollywood in general. Because I feel like it's the same issues. It's the same lazy stories. There are some really good storytellers out in the world.
Yeah.
And there are some really good stories to be told. And Hollywood is just shying away from them. I mean, have you seen I think part of the thing that I messaged you for
was it the Hot Cheetos?
The Hot Cheetos. They're doing an origin movie for the Hot Cheetos, honestly, and it's like, what the fuck?
I
is
think
we
I saw it
in?
because you tweeted about it, and
I did.
Like, quote tweeted the trailer or something, and I sat and watched the trailer, and it took until about 3/4 through for me to go, "Oh, this is actually a film. This isn't like something."
A parody. No, this is the thing.
But yeah, a film
like
about
a Hollywood so devoid. Oh no, not even devoid. And they're so desperate to avoid originality and creativity and taking a chance on new storytellers and new stories, that they will just make an origin movie. It's on that sort
of almost wave of biopics, isn't it? It's like that, the story behind the story film.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, who have we done? We've done Freddie Mercury, Elton John, Eddie the Eagle. We're struggling a bit now, boys.
What came across to me when I was watching it, it felt like an attempt to get Latin Americans into cinemas. Do you know what I mean?
But equally, I like the idea that, like, okay, we've done Queen, or we've done Freddie, we've done Elton, Eddie the Eagle, we're kind of struggling.
Jordan.
You know, Michael Jordan. Okay, who have we got?
I actually really want to see that.
What about the guy who invented Cheetos? Don't be stupid, he's too big for us. What about the guy who invented Hot Cheetos? I like your thinking. Sign that film. It's just so dumb.
Yeah, it is.
It's so bad.
What was the last film you went to see in the cinema?
Guardians.
Guardians. What about before that?
You're going back a while.
Yeah.
I honestly can't remember.
The last two films I saw, and this will tell you how long a stretch it's been, was the last one was the most recent Fantastic Beasts film. That was the last one I went to the cinema. And the one before that was No Time to Die.
Okay, so in the last couple of years, though.
Yeah, but like
No
only
Time to Die was like 2021,
all
I think.
the time. I used to love going to the cinema.
But that's that. Like I said, I don't feel like there's any. I mean, it'll be interesting seeing Barbie versus Oppenheimer. I would love people to do a double billing. I mean, TikTokers are going to, aren't they?
What's Barbie versus Oppenheimer?
Well, it's because they're just two films that are opening on the same weekend.
Oh, okay.
So
what's
Barbie,
Oppenheimer about? I know Barbie's about Barbie.
Barbie's about Barbie. Greta Gerwig's Barbie. Being all bright and bubblegum pink and Barbie. It might go darker than that, I don't know.
No, I don't think I've seen the trailer.
And Oppenheimer is a biopic of Robert J. Oppenheimer, a man who was a scientist, a physicist who was a driving part between the atomic project. Bomb. Yeah, between
As soon as you said scientist, I went Manhattan Project.
Thing that puts me off it is it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, who's playing Oppenheimer?
It's one of Christopher Nolan's favourite little buddies. It's Cillian Murphy.
Okay, fair play.
Yeah, that'll be a great. I can't wait to see. TikTokers is definitely going to do a thing where they dress up half light, half dark.
Yeah.
And do like, when you've got Oppenheimer at 1 but Barbie at 6, and do like a double billing, 100%.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like there's many films that that's the thing, when you see a trailer now, and we've discussed it before, I think trailers give away too much.
Yeah.
But when I see the trailers, I think I've seen that film, and not just because all the good bits are in the trailer and all the stories in but because it's like that film is that's the same story as every other story. There is no new biopics are a bit different because obviously it's
you're learning
a biopic. You're actually going through someone's life, so you're kind of trapped by what they've done and haven't done.
I actually really like the two done about Steve Jobs.
Oh yeah, the one with two very different ones. Danny Boyle one,
and the Danny Boyle one with Michael Fassbender.
Yeah.
And they're both, like you say, completely different.
Different takes.
But yeah, I thought they were both done quite well, actually, to be honest.
I mean, the Danny Boyle one, from a creative standpoint, I learned a really interesting thing when Michael Fassbender was talking to him about the accent. And he was like, I can't nail this accent. Can we do it? And he's like, listen, forget the accent. He's like, in the first 2 minutes of the movie, people will either buy you or they won't. That accent almost doesn't matter. Like, if you can convince them in the first couple of minutes without the accent, they'll be with you all the way through. Don't worry about it.
Does he have the accent?
He has an accent, but it's not
really his voice.
No, it's not his voice, but equally it's not Steve Jobs.
No.
He's not doing it. And that's the thing. No. That's the thing that Danny Boyle said was like, we're not doing a caricature of Steve Jobs. We're not doing an impersonation.
No,
we're interpreting his life and his stories. Like we're not just doing an impersonation of him.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Danny Boyle. I think he's a good egg.
Yeah, I like Danny Boyle. He's
done some good films. Although I've never seen Trainspotting.
Have you never seen Trainspotting?
I've never seen Trainspotting.
Really great film, really good film.
Yeah.
See, I think it's his finest, but his first film, he says...
I loved The Beach.
Have you seen him talking about...
Is it The Beach?
Oh, years ago when he was on Top Gear, The Beach. But when he was talking about any new film he goes to see, his dad always goes, yeah, it's good. It's no Shallow Grave, but it was good. And that was like his first film.
Okay, so you always thought his first was his best.
Yeah, so he was like, yeah, it's a good film, well done, mate, but it's not...
I guess for directors, part of that might be their first project is what they throw all their original ideas into.
Sort of like the first album.
And everything else is sort of not a cheap copy, it's like it's a different version of your ideas.
But you spend your life making it's the same thing, particularly with musicians. You spend your life making that first album. It's not just when you get signed.
Yeah.
Making the album. You've been writing these songs. You've been creating them for years, And then the turnaround for the second album is a really different process.
Yeah.
It's the same for the filmmakers. Yeah, you've spent your life making that first film.
Yeah.
Then the turnaround to the second one is now you're suddenly in the industry. You're not coming into the industry. So I guess it is a bit different.
Last thing I want to end on, and then we'll start. Do you have a go-to film that you will sit and watch?
No.
No?
No, not particularly.
So, like, what do you sit down and watch in an evening then? Like, if you can't decide what to watch, what will you put on?
I'll just like literally flick around for anything. The thing is,
I can't imagine anything worse than
my
that.
attention span is so poor that it almost doesn't matter what I put on because I probably won't be watching it.
Okay.
Or I will put it on and within 5 minutes I'm gonna change the channel anyway, so it doesn't really matter what shit I put on.
Yeah.
Because that's my world.
Yeah.
I know you have a few. What are your kind of go-tos?
They vary. At the moment, the last few nights, or like recently, it's been The Last Samurai. With Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise thing.
Yeah. Other than that, it varies from like. To be fair, I haven't watched it for ages. It used to be like Interstellar, or it's also been Kingdom of Heaven recently. Sometimes Hunger Games randomly for some reason. I'll go through the Hunger Games films.
So I'll tell you what as well. What I think superhero movies lack, because they try too hard, and they need to kind of be a bit more natural. You've got to I think they lack great quotes.
Okay.
So when you think back to the Dark Knight trilogy, particularly the Dark Knight,
I'm going to make this pencil disappear.
Well, there's a few.
Yeah.
You know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain. All that. Like, there's so many fucking good ones.
Yeah.
If you're good at something, don't do it for free.
Yeah.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, there's loads, isn't there?
There's loads. But what I think now, director
and even
studios,
with Batman Begins, that I don't have to kill you, but I don't have to save you.
You know, why do we fall?
Yeah, to pick ourselves back up.
I always like as well when he's like, what good is all that weightlifting if you can't lift a little bit of timber?
You can't lift a bloody door. Or a log, I think it was.
Yeah, but it's just great when he's like, he sort of turns from being really sensitive to be like, what fucking pathetic man you are. You spend your life working out and what you can't get yourself out of this situation, you little bitch. But I think studios are so desperate for that. They've really forced them. And when you're watching them, I don't know if you experience it the same as I do, but I feel certain moments, I'm like, oh, they wanted that to be a thing.
Yeah.
They really wanted that. You can you tell.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, you've got to make the film and let the audience pick.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Well, that's the thing. I think I've even heard Arnold Schwarzenegger talk about it. Like, he was like, when I said I'll be back, I had no idea that was going to follow me, or like get in the chopper, or come with me if you want to live. All these things. He was like, none of them, when you wrote the script, were like, highlight this one. This is the one that people will pick up on. He said it just like happens.
Yeah. Agreed. Audiences will run with what they run with.
Yeah. And it's never complicated. It's never like mind blowing, is it? It's just like, oh fuck, that's clever. Yeah. That's good.
I just think I think sometimes studios, like I said, and I appreciate they're under huge financial pressures, but I think they play it too safe.
Yeah. Because
they just want to get the turnover and money.
Yeah.
They play it too, they're too focused on merchandising.
Yeah.
So they want new outfits, they want the quotes, they want the action sequences that they can stick, figurines of, and and I think they need to take a bit more of a chance. I said my biggest thing that I would say to end burnout for me, play with genres.
Yeah, flip shit on its head.
And for distributors as well, in movies in general, I'd like to see take more chances on indie films and storytellers and promote them in. Yeah, we're not going to distribute them to cinemas.
We aren't going to get that in superhero genres, are we?
No, but outside of that, I'd like to see distributors say, "Well, do you know what? Let's really push this one and say we're going to give it to." I
think it does happen sometimes. Like you get films like, was it Moonlight? I know it's not a superhero film. About the director who did basically a story about his life, wasn't it?
La La Land.
No. Do you not know the film I'm talking about?
I know, but that was the Oscars, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the winner is La La Land.
Oh shit! Was it that year?
Yeah, it was like Moonlight won the Oscar.
Yeah, but they said La La Land.
And they said La La Land.
How did that happen?
I'll tell you exactly how that happened, because fucking not Faye Dunaway. Who's the other one from Bonnie and Clyde?
Oh dear.
Whatever that bloke, I can't remember his name, but I know who it is. Oh, I sound like such a dick. I know, guys, I know, right? You don't need to question me, I do know. The award that was given out directly before that was Best Actress, which was given to Emma Stone for La La Land.
Right, okay.
So he pulled it out, just saw the name of the film, didn't see Emma Stone, he just assumed was like the producer or director or some shit, and just said La La Land. He picked up the wrong envelope, one that was already open.
Oh, no.
And he went out La La Land before someone ran on stage and was like, no, it's Moonlight, you guys won.
What was that?
That was iconic.
Was that worse than Will Smith slapping the shit out of Chris Rock?
Oh, they're both up there for iconic moments at the Oscars.
Yeah, but the Will Smith one lived longer in the memory, but I don't know if that's because it's recency
I don't know.
bias.
For me, Moonlight and La La Land.
I'd forgotten about that, to be honest.
Had you?
I had. Until you said it, I was like, what?
There you go then.
So, yeah.
Oh, I can't think of the guy's name. It's going to really annoy me. I've got to look it up.
Well, you can always tweet it from the Crossing Swords page and do it before the episode comes out, just no context.
You and I both know that that's not going to happen. But if you bear with me.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Exactly. Maybe I need to get the Moonlight moment on the soundboard.
Warren Beatty. That's
right.
Fucking name.
I'm glad we covered that. Jake, tell the people where to find us.
They can find us at Swords Crossing on Twitter. Ba-ba-boom! Ba-ba-booey! I started shouting that at golf, by the way. I don't know why. It just amuses me when I hear with the driver. I'm like, ba-ba-booey!
Does it annoy everyone else?
I would say the overriding thing from any of my driving shots are how shit the driving shots are. Like, all right. They can find us at Swords Crossing. They can find us at CrossingSwords_podcast on TikTok and Instagram. First time I've ever given TikTok top bill in there. I usually go Insta first.
Yeah, I think TikTok's on the up.
We appreciate what the kids are into, and we're trying to get down with it.
We are.
They can find us just at Crossing Swords on Facebook. They can find us on YouTube. The link to each episode will be in the link to each episode.
Indeed.
If that makes sense. A link to each episode on the pot.
Well, no, just a link to our YouTube channel is in the description of every episode.
So go find it, like, subscribe, share, follow.
Bang.
All the stuff that YouTubers say.
Pow,
I never make it to the end of a YouTube video, so I never... You know when, like, young kids that grow up now, some young kids think that, don't forget to like, share and subscribe is equivalent to saying goodbye because they've grown up on YouTube, and that's how they always end. Yeah. Like, I've seen a few parents tell stories of that.
Yeah.
I never make it that far in the videos, so I have no idea what they really say.
No. So let's just not say goodbye at all?
Should we not? I'll tell you what, should we just both say what our best favourite movie is?
Whatever.
Yeah, La La Land.
Moonlight.
Oh, no, Moonlight. Moonlight, it's Moonlight. We were wrong. It's Moonlight.
It's Moonlight.